Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, Andrew and listeners, and welcome to Salt This Way. I got it mixed up there. I meant to say hello, listeners, and Andrew, but I confused myself. It happens. It's late at night.
He cast confusion on himself, and it was very effective.
I cast confusion on myself. Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, but anyway, Andrew, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Are you excited to be watching our movie this week?
It was better than the last few weeks.
This is the first in color movie we've watched
In a while.
in a good while.
In a major company.
Distributed by a major company, not made in the 50s.
Yeah.
We're getting back to some new ground here, but anyway, what movie are we watching today, Andrew?
The Valley of Gwangi.
Gwangi, yeah. Alternate titles? Not really an alternate title, but the original screenplay was titled Valley of the Mists.
Well, there was not very much mist.
There was not a lot of mists. So
I don't think there was any mist, actually.
that was the title, I believe, of the screenplay that O'Brien had co-written before. But let me get into all that. So you want some production trivia?
Sure.
All right. Well, this was originally a project started by Willis O'Brien way before it ever got made, ultimately. Right after the success of King Kong, this was supposed to be O'Brien's follow-up movie. And I believe it was going to be a lot closer to King. Like, we'll talk about it. It still apes King Kong, forgive the pun. But it was going to be, basically, they were going to take the story of Kong, taking a creature from the prehistoric world and taking him to the new world and him breaking free and all that. And they were going to retell it with this dinosaur. That's what Willis O'Brien was hoping to do. And he got pretty far along with it. He got a budget greenlit for $552,000, which that would have been in the 30s, been a pretty good budget. They had a director on board. They built some of the models for the dinosaur, but then some executive changes at RKO Pictures and wartime constraints ended up getting the project scrapped in the early 40s. So
Sad times.
Sad times for Willis O'Brien. So after Willis O'Brien died, I think he passed in 61 or 62. Harryhausen wanted to make a project kind of in O'Brien's memory. And so O'Brien had two projects that had been scrapped previously. One was called War Eagles or something. And the other one was this one, Valley of Gwangi. And Harryhausen ended up he reunited with Schneer. You know, we've talked about Harryhausen, Charles Schneer. They were kind of the production duo that worked together a lot. They'd actually kind of went their separate ways for a few years prior to this movie and done their own projects with different companies. But they came back together to do this movie, to do Gwangi. They purchased the rights from O'Brien's widow. Now, O'Brien actually, even though he did write the original story, he didn't actually get an on-screen credit, which is a little odd. Not even an in memory of, but anyway. But Columbia Pictures, who usually financed all of Schneer's projects and Schneer and Harryhausen's collaborations, turned the movie down. They didn't want anything to do with it. So that's why they turned to Warner Brothers for financing. So they got some financing from Warner Brothers, but actually they're getting into the movie. The script referred to the dinosaur, as an Allosaurus. Now, I don't think they ever actually say Allosaurus in the movie, or at least I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
But it's actually modeled after the famous Charles R. Knight painting of a Tyrannosaurus. Now, of course, that painting has been largely debunked in that classic Tyrannosaurus model. Same kind of model they used for the dinosaur in King Kong and all of that, of course, the original King Kong and all that. But they did film this in Spain. It's set in Mexico, but they filmed it in Spain.
Yeah.
But they filmed a lot on location, not, on sets or whatever. The lead actress, Gila Golan's accent, she was Israeli. Her accent was so thick, she had to be redubbed by a voice actress. We can tell. We'll talk about it. Harryhausen spent nearly a year on the effect sequences. There were more than 300 dynamation cuts, which was a record for Harryhausen. The roping sequence, where they tried to rope the Gwangi, was the most difficult sequence to shoot. Of course, trying to line up the live action actors with where the dinosaur was supposed to be and getting all that figured out. But both Schneer and the screenwriter, I think his name was William Bast, were openly critical of the director in later years, saying that the director, Jim O'Connelly, lost interest basically halfway through, and he was tampering with the script the whole time. And Harryhausen and Schneer were also openly frustrated with Warner Brothers. They didn't feel like Warner Brothers, Columbia, they feel like knew how to market these pictures, these kind of, drive-in pictures that they made. They didn't think that Warner Brothers did a good job of it. And Warner Brothers just kind of dumped the movie on as a double bill later, and the movie flopped, of course. And Charles Schneer has said that this is not one of his favorite collaborations with Harryhausen. He didn't really like the period piece aspect of it, and just not one of his favorite movies. So not a lot of people had a lot of faith in this movie, especially once they got rolling.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about how we felt about it. But Andrew, tell them a little bit. I don't have a lot of box office information, but tell them what I got there.
A little bit is an understatement.
Overstatement, maybe.
Overstatement. There's only two things here.
Yeah.
That it was released June 11th, 1969.
Right.
And it released as a double bill with
a biker film.
With a biker film.
Yeah, so Warner Brothers, I think it's probably part of their frustration is like they stuck it on like the B side of this biker movie double feature. And it's like kind of weird of a combination. But anyway, we are going to listen to a trailer, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about the cast and crew, the plot summary, and we'll talk all about the Valley of Gwangi. See you in a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to see has never been seen before by human eyes.
Professor, there's a big lizard back there, and he's heading this way. Now get aboard.
It's Spears! It's Spears!
right, there it was. I do apologize, listeners. I think you probably heard a phone notification in the middle of that. I forgot to silence the notifications before I played the trailer, but you get the point. You get the point. Anyway, cast and crew. This was directed by Jim O'Connelly, written by William Blast, Julian Moore, and Willis O'Brien, effects by Ray Harryhausen, music by Jerome Morose, and starring James Franciscus, Gila Golan, Richard Carlson, Lawrence Naismith, Freda Jackson, and Gustavo Rojo. And the plot summary is, more or less, as follows. When rodeo hand Carlos returns from a remote valley with a miniature horse, showrunner TJ Breckenridge sees an opportunity to make it the star attraction of her show. But when her ex, Tuck Kirby, arrives in town, his interest in the tiny horse quickly turns opportunistic. Teaming up with paleontologist Horace Bromley, Tuck begins plotting how they can exploit the creature for their own gain. Unbeknownst to Tuck, Bromley secretly informs a clan of gypsies where the horse is being kept. Believing the animal to be cursed, the gypsies steal it, intending to return it to the Forbidden Valley. Bromley, Tuck, and a local boy named Lope set out in pursuit, while TJ and her rodeo troupe follow close behind. In the valley, the pursuers lose the gypsies but discover blood-stained rocks, hinting at something far more dangerous lurking in the valley. The two groups reunite just in time to spot the miniature horse again, chasing it through a narrow cavern. On the other side, they uncover the valley's deadly secret. A pterodactyl snatches Lope but drops him when it cannot carry his weight, allowing Carlos to kill the creature. Moments later, the group is attacked by a massive Allosaurus, known to the gypsies as Gwangi. Forced to retreat, the group suffers a loss when Carlos is killed. Back at camp, they regroup, but Gwangi attacks again. Attempting to capture the beast, they nearly succeed in roping it before a Styracosaurus intervenes. The two dinosaurs clash in a brutal fight, ending with Gwangi victorious. The Allosaurus then chases the humans back through the cavern, where a rock slide knocks it unconscious. Seizing their chance, Tuck and the others cage Gwangi and transport it back to town, where TJ plans to turn it into a spectacle. However, disaster strikes when one of the gypsies frees the creature, only to be devoured moments later. Gwangi escapes and rampages through the town, sending citizens fleeing into a cathedral. When the beast breaks inside, Tuck attempts to trap it there. As TJ and Lope are cornered, Tuck distracts Gwangi by playing the cathedral organ, then sets the building ablaze. He, TJ, and Lope escape as the inferno consumes the dinosaur and the cathedral collapses, burying Gwangi beneath the flames. More or less?
More or less.
More or less the plot of the movie. I can't remember if Carlos died before the rope thing or after the rope thing.
After.
Was that after as they were fleeing?
They was fleeing the second time.
Okay. Well, I got it backwards. But anyway, you get the point.
And they saw the bloodstains after the doctor's horse got stolen, too.
The doctor's horse got stolen.
Yeah. His horse?
Oh. Was it the blood, the horse's blood? Yeah. Oh.
Did you not get that?
I thought the blood was the gypsy's blood, which is why I was confused later when the gypsies show back up.
The gypsies never followed them.
Well, the gypsies went to the valley to dump the horse off.
And then they left.
Okay. Well, I thought they got by that while they were leaving. Okay. I got that bit confused. Maybe I zoned out for a little bit. I'm sorry. But anyway. But no, this is a Harryhausen project. We've watched a lot of Harryhausen movies. Haven't watched this one before, though.
No.
But it starts with, it's going to be a while before we get to the Harryhausen stuff. It starts with this guy, obviously injured, kind of, wandering through this valley.
Yeah.
He's got a bag with something moving inside of it, and he'll collapse. And then I guess this is Carlos's brother, right?
Yeah.
And his brother comes and doesn't seem to really care. Carlos doesn't really seem to care about his brother that much, but he gets the bag, and there are some gypsies standing there, an old blind gypsy. And she's telling him how if you take this thing out of the valley, you're going to bring a curse down on us all, or, whatever the typical mumbo jumbo is. And
I think it's really the gypsies that bring the curse in this movie.
Well, I don't know. Are the gypsies cursing people for taking the horse? Because the gypsies say that it's the horse that is cursed.
Yeah. Well, at the end, it's the gypsies that let the dinosaur out in the town.
The gypsies in the end cause most of the problems. I agree. But anyway, but then we're going to cut to this. We're somewhere south of the Rio Grande. That's what the title says.
Yeah.
Never specifies where.
Just a little past the Rio Grande.
It seems to be that this cathedral is like a really old building that would be, I don't know where it would be in Mexico. Seems to be a pretty big town.
They have churches in Mexico.
They do, but this is like when we get to the end, we'll get to it. This is a huge cathedral, but it's filmed in Spain, so it's not even filmed in Mexico. But anyway.
They do have cathedrals in Spain.
Yeah, Europe's very old. There's a lot of giant cathedrals and the like. But anyway, and we're at this rodeo, I guess, and they're putting on this little cowboys versus Indians thing.
Yeah.
Which would still be like very current, I think. And this is like around 1900. So it wouldn't be that really much of a past. But I'm wondering too, I'm like, because our brother Adam was sitting here, he watched like the first 20 minutes with us before he gave up.
Yeah.
He's like, are they actually like executing these Indians? And it seems kind of real. Like one of the wagons catches on fire at one point, and they're shooting guns and everything, and horses are falling over and rolling over people. Now we'll learn like way towards the middle of the movie, like they were firing blanks in this little thing, but because I was wondering for a while, but anyway, but no, it's all an act.
And the craziest stunt is when they had this horse thrown through a flaming hoop into this small body of water.
Yeah, after they get done with the whole cowboys and Indian stunt, the big highlight of the show is TJ. She's the star attraction.
Yeah.
She's gonna, trot her horse up on this platform, and she's gonna jump off the platform into a pool with a fire burning around the rim.
With a horse.
Yeah, on horseback. Now that part, there's a lot of, some animals were definitely harmed in the making of this movie. There's a lot of real horse stunts, like horses falling over, rolling over people, all that kind of stuff. Now they do a model jumping off the platform into the pool, but
they did actually put the horse in the pool somehow.
They did put they have the horse in the pool after the jumping effect, and they have the horse up on the platform. I don't know if they have him all the way at the top of the platform like we see in the wide shot, but anyway,
it looked like it.
This is one thing I'll commend this movie for. Lots of real horse. Now, of course, I don't approve of harming animals, but lots of real horseback riding, real horses, falling, rolling on top of. I don't know how some of these stuntmen didn't get killed.
Yeah,
they probably got injured.
Bulls in the beginning too.
There's a bull sequence where we'll be introduced to Lope.
I'm pretty sure this guy actually got ran over by a bull.
Lope is like a little local boy who's doing, the typical local, poor local village stuff, trying to get the tourists or the white people in town to buy, stuff, or offering to guide them for money and to get them stuff for money and all this. But at one point, there's a bull in the rodeo, I guess, and Carlos is out there practicing the bull stunt, and then Lope gets out there and tries to cop him, and the bull goes after him. And then I don't think it's actually Carlos, but Carlos's stunt man does get actually wrestle with this bull. But before we get there, so TJ's ex blows into town. Tuck Kirby.
He sounds like a con artist.
And TJ has this older man working at the rodeo. What was his name? Charles or something?
I'm pretty sure he owns the rodeo.
Was he the owner of the rodeo?
She works.
I thought she owned the rodeo.
Did she own the?
Because he's always telling her to sell out. I think she owned the rodeo. But anyway, this older guy, and he's not very approving of. He's kind of like a father figure to TJ. Not very approving of Tuck. And, we get some dialogue about she was ready to sell out if Tuck would have settled down, but Tuck ran out on her. And Tuck is, he's kind of the cowboy, I guess John Wayne-ish type in this movie. It is a Western. It is one of the things I think is actually intriguing about this movie. It's kind of a Western meets Jurassic Park. Obviously, 25 years before Jurassic Park, but it is kind of that kind of combination, and I think it's an interesting combination. I also think the actors are pretty good in the movie. Now, the actress, you can tell she's dubbed. Like I said, her apparently her accent was really bad, and they couldn't really understand what she was saying, so they dubbed her over. But I think the actors, including the British guy, the British paleontologist we get later, Horace Bromley. I think they're giving solid performances. Everyone seems pretty charismatic, especially Tuck and Bromley. They seem to be enjoying their roles. And so I think there's a lot of elements working early on in this movie. I like Lope. The kid playing Lope is pretty good. So I'm liking a lot of the early parts of this movie, but it's going to be a while before we get to the dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a while.
It was a while till we got to the miniature horse.
It's a while before. It's about half an hour before we even get to the miniature horse. And there's a lot of, Tuck and TJ, like first kind of, reuniting, but then, getting mad at each other again. And then eventually TJ is gonna show there, and Carlos is in here too. There's a love triangle. Carlos wants to be with TJ, but as soon as TJ's not really showing any interest, and as soon as Tuck blows back into town, she has basically nothing to do with Carlos.
No.
But she will show about half an hour into the movie. She will show Tuck the little miniature horse. I think Bromley calls it because at one point, Lope took Tuck out of town and they ran across Bromley. That's where we're introduced to him.
Yeah.
And what's the British documentary? The British guy that does all the nature documentaries and stuff? David Attenborough. He's got a very much like a David Attenborough voice going on. But they run across him, and he was already familiar with Lope and blah blah blah. But anyway. Tuck will be shown the horse about 30 minutes in. It's a little stop animated, little tiny horse, like little bitty toy size horse. And
it's named Diablo,
which is like devil, which is weird, but whatever. But no, Tuck is immediately, he was immediately like, started thinking like, oh, we're gonna get rich and famous off of this. And of course, it makes TJ upset. But he's going to go and he's going to make a big mistake because Bromley was telling him about, he's studying fossils or whatever. And he's going to tell Bromley about the horse. And he's even going to sneak Bromley in to show him the horse. And, Tuck wants to get rich and famous, rich off of it. Bromley wants to use it and win a Nobel Prize and get famous for science or whatever, but they both want to use it for their own benefit, and they want to know where it came from. So if they can, they don't want to take her horse. Tuck does care about TJ to some extent. They don't want to steal her horse. They want to find where it came from and see if they can find more of him.
Yeah,
and so they need to find out, but Carlos won't say because he doesn't like them. And so Bromley, without telling Tuck, he gets this bright idea of he knows that the gypsies, or I think Carlos tells them that the gypsies don't like it. And so Bromley gets this bright idea is if I tell the gypsies where this horse is, they'll break in and steal it and take it back to where it belongs.
And I can find more.
And he can follow them back. But Lope kind of spills the beans to Tuck. Because it was kind of funny because Tuck was sitting there all contemplating and Lope shows up and it's
with his horse full of supplies.
Yeah, and he's giving Tuck some advice on love or whatever. And then he spills the beans about Bromley and meeting Bromley and everything. But anyway, so they're gonna Tuck figures out what's gonna happen. So the gypsies go and break into the hut and steal the horse. And then Bromley and Lope go in pursuit, and Tuck goes in pursuit. And then Carlos,
he got knocked out earlier by the midget in the
the little person.
The little person, I'm sorry.
The little gypsy. The gypsy midget.
The gypsy midget.
And but he blames Tuck because he doesn't like Tuck.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he gets TJ and them all together, and her whole troop goes after him too.
Yeah.
And we're finally gonna get to the Valley of Gwangi, the Forbidden Valley.
Yeah.
And the gypsies have dropped the horse off, and then you said,
they flee.
They flee, and then I guess in the night the doctor's horse was taken, and they find its blood later. And it's about 40 minutes in when we see our first dinosaur. We see the pterodactyl flying off briefly.
They're not there they're only there for like a day.
Did I say that they were there for a long time?
Yeah. You just said during the night.
Oh, when does his horse get taken?
During the day.
Oh.
When they get off and go exploring, then they hear the pterodactyl sound and the horse, and then they go back, and then their blood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I got that part confused. Anyway, the horse gets taken. There's blood. There's a pterodactyl.
Aaron over here forgetting the movie he just watched.
And anyway, so then they go some more, and
then they go back and they're like, "Where's Rosalino?" Whatever that was his horse's name.
Okay.
And then they meet up with everybody else.
Yeah, then that's when they all meet up,
and they're not happy with Tuck.
They're not happy. But Carlos blames Tuck.
Mm-hmm.
But then, Lope tells the truth about what happened or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're all mad at Carlos.
And the manager guy, main dude over the...
Oh, the old guy, he's going to get into fisticuffs.
Yeah, he's like, I always knew you were a bad person going up.
Well, I think this was late. That was later, right? After they got back to camp when they all got into fight. Yeah, that was later when they got back to camp because because the one guy that I can't remember his name says basically says, well, this is all your fault for stealing the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's when Lope spills the beans.
Yeah. But I think it's before that they all see the horse and they all go chasing after the horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes running off in this little cavern that they can't get through. But they tie the horses to a rock and pull this rock free so they can all get through this cavern. And then it's on the other side of this cavern that it all goes down. Lope gets grabbed by this pterodactyl. It was a little weird, but I guess we're supposed to think that the pterodactyl couldn't carry Lope.
Mm-hmm.
So it falls down to the ground.
Well, I think Lope struggling made it fall.
Which is weird. I was a little weird because, apparently the pterodactyl grabbed that horse.
Yeah.
But it can't carry off Lope. But whatever. Anyway, so then Carlos grabs the pterodactyl and snaps its neck. And
I don't think you could easily snap a pterodactyl's neck.
I mean, maybe if you were able to get it on the ground. It had a pretty thin neck. But anyway, but then there's another dinosaur that comes along and they go to chasing it.
Yeah, it's a tiny little baby door.
It's 50 minutes in when we finally see Gwangi, the Allosaurus. And it kills the one dinosaur, and it goes after them, and there's some running around, and
then they went into
It's not a Triceratops. It's hold on. It's a Styracosaurus.
A Styracosaurus.
The Triceratops, I think, has the big plate.
Yeah.
For the back of its head, but the Styracosaurus is the one that kind of has the horns, the individual horns behind it, forming the crest of its head. So anyway, a Styracosaurus shows up and kind of distracts the Gwangi. all of the rest of them went running, but the professor stayed behind because he wanted to check out the dinosaur. And then the lizard came along, and he's like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, he's
But,
like, I don't know what you were talking about now, Tuck.
But the rest of them ran off back to camp.
Yeah.
And they set a trap for the dinosaur, but of course the professor falls into it. But
It's like a goofy moment. It's like,
yeah.
professor.
But I think, then I think the next sequence is where they're building a campfire, and then that's when they all start.
That was before the professor fell.
Okay, well, they're all accusing each other, throwing punches. The old man thinks he's gonna fight Carlos.
Yeah.
But they break it up.
TJ's like, come on, guys.
Let's break it up. Let's wait till we. And at one point, it's kind of a weird time, but TJ's like, she's like confessing to Tuck that she's ready to give it all up and sell out and move to Wyoming with him or whatever he said and buy a ranch or whatever.
Well, he said that to her.
Yeah.
And then she agreed to it.
Yeah. Well, he had said it to her earlier, and
Yeah.
she was unsure, but now she wants to do it. But then the Allosaurus attacks.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the big grand roping sequence where they try to lasso the Allosaur, and it goes on for a while. But it's an impressive sequence, and they had to coordinate a lot. But they lasso it, and they pretty much get it lassoed. But then that Styracosaurus shows up, and ruins their plans, and Gwangi bites the ropes free, and then the Gwangi and the Styracosaurus get into a big fight. Of course, Gwangi wins and starts chasing them again.
Yeah.
And this is where Carlos, I couldn't tell, like it happened pretty fast. I wasn't sure who got at first, because there's a couple of guys there that I don't even remember who they were or what they were doing there. There's a couple of underdeveloped characters, but
they're all the workers.
They're the rodeo hands. But Carlos gets got, and nobody notices. And but then they go back through that cavern, and the Allosaurus is just slightly too big for it. And when it tries to squeeze out of it, it causes a rock slide, knocks itself unconscious. And Tuck gets a bright idea and ropes its mouth shut. And then somewhere along the way, they built this giant cage.
Yeah, like I don't know how they built it so.
And put the Allosaurus in it, and they're tugging it back to town. And here, like, this is now like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
They're going to go full blown King Kong.
See, TJ's gone like magic power.
Well, it's funny because she was all ready to sell the rodeo and go to Wyoming. But yeah, now that she's got this dinosaur, she's like, screw Wyoming. I've got a dinosaur, baby.
She's like playing world tours and stuff.
Yeah,
like, I can go.
And Tuck, Tuck, who was the one who was reluctant to settle down in the past, now he's like, well, I thought we were gonna go to Wyoming, and she's like, no, I got this dinosaur.
She's like, we can get rich off this world tour, then go back to Wyoming.
But Tuck is like, well, you're going to do it by yourself. And I've been down that road, and it's a lonely road. I don't think he's been down a road with a dinosaur, but
No.
Anyway, but he runs off, and then Lope comes in and says, he's a serious man, missus, and you better go chase him because he'll never come back or whatever. And so she goes running. So I guess we're to take that she decided, regardless of what is about to happen, she was going to go with him. But the gypsy midget goes in, and for some reason, the gypsies just can't let this dinosaur go. And
why was their idea, let it loose on the whole rodeo?
Yeah, I don't know. But he undoes the latch, and of course, he gets eaten.
Yeah.
So when they lift the curtain up off the cage, because the older guy had told the photographers, you're going to get the picture of your life. And the first thing they see is this midget in the dinosaur's jaws getting tossed around like a rag doll.
Close the curtains, close the curtains.
But of course, the dinosaur breaks free and goes on a rampage. And, I will say one thing I also appreciate about this movie. One is in the second half, the dinosaur gets a ton of screen time, right? Lots of time spent with the dinosaur. And they afforded a lot of extras. There's a lot of extras. Spaniard extras running around, filling the Coliseum, running out of the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Or the rodeo stage, whatever you want to call it.
The rodeo grounds.
And the rodeo grounds. And the Allosaur goes on a rampage, chasing after people, and all the townspeople run into this giant cathedral that's just in the middle of this small little Mexican town, apparently.
You know, they have cathedrals in weird places.
Tuck and the other rodeo hands are trying to close the door, and then the Allosaurus just uses its butt to like break down the door.
Yeah.
And gets inside, but all the other people run out the back. But Tuck gets the bright idea. He's gonna trap the Allosaurus inside. It's also funny that Lope, who is totally out of harm's way, like runs into harm's way. He runs into the cathedral. But anyway,
why not?
he and what's her name?
That one girl.
He and TJ get cornered by the dinosaur while Tuck is closing the front doors. And then Tuck goes up and he throws a spear at it and like falls backwards onto the organ. And the organ distracts it long enough for TJ and Lope to get free. And the three of them go running off. And then
Didn't he get trapped in there with the fire and the burning?
Tuck, yeah, he grabs a torch. I guess they have like the burning like wood piles or whatever. And he grabs a torch and like throws it. And it catches some drapes on fire or something. And then
he runs out the front door.
They run out the back door or the front door or whatever. And the building catches fire. And then the poor dinosaur like lets out a lot of horrible screams as it burns.
Strangling a pig.
As it's burning, maybe that's what they did to get the sound effect. As it's burning alive and the building like starts to collapse and then it's crushed under the debris and everything, and it's kind of sad, and it,
dies.
It dies and it cuts to black. The end. But yeah, listen, I know Schneer was not high on this movie, but I think it's a pretty fun Schneer
Decent.
Harryhausen collaboration. Like I said, that the first half is a bit tedious. I don't think it's as bad as the movie last week where the characters were just so boring.
Oh my god.
And nothing was happening. I mean, at least I think, like I said, Tuck and especially Bromley have some charisma.
Yeah.
There's the whole thing with the blind gypsy and the midget gypsy. There's some fun characters on screen. There's the miniature horse about half an hour in. The mystery of the valley and everything. So there's some stuff to keep me engaged. But it does get a bit tedious, but the second half especially, I mean, there's a lot of screen time for the dinosaurs, a lot of action. Then they go back to the town and it goes on a rampage through the town. Is it derivative of a bunch of movies that came before it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
what movie isn't nowadays?
I mean, The Lost World had already done the dinosaur through town. King Kong had obviously
done
it. Oh, and that was an O'Brien movie. This was going to be an O'Brien project. The Lost World was also an O'Brien. O'Brien made the same movie 3 or 4 times, but it's done pretty well, I think. And in Technicolor, I think it looks good in Technicolor and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty fun time.
Yeah.
You agree?
I thought it was a decent time,
Yeah. You want to get to get your creature design?
Sure.
Well, Gwangi.
He's a dinosaur.
He's an Allosaurus. He looks same basic model like of the T-Rex or Allosaurus or whatever in the old King Kong movie. Kind of an upright T-Rex. Purple dinosaur thing.
He's a dinosaur.
Dinosaur. I think he looks pretty cool. There's the pterodactyl. They have the claymation pterodactyl, also purple. They love purple. Also purple.
Yeah.
And but they also built a real model of it for Carlos to struggle with and fight with, and the model looks okay, I guess.
Good.
There was also a physical prop of the Allosaurus' head when it knocks itself unconscious.
Yeah.
And I will say the most unfortunate prop in the whole movie is when the rock slide hits the Allosaurus, and it's just like this vinyl steel toy, unarticulated toy that like gets hit by the rock slide and slides down.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's that other like dinosaur, I forget what it was called, that with like the long neck that they chase after for a little bit that gets eaten by the Allosaur. There's a Styracosaurus. I think it looks pretty good. Looks like a Styracosaurus,
Yeah.
The miniature horse Looks like a miniature horse.
You can't mess up that very hard.
Can't mess up that very bad. But getting into effects, Schneer may not have cared about this movie, that Jim O'Connell may have given up on this movie halfway through. But I do think Harryhausen cared about this movie because I think it mattered to him because it was a project started by his mentor, O'Brien. And I think this is some pretty good top tier Harryhausen work. I think the claymation, for the most part, is really good in this movie. I think the Allosaurus is always really good, well articulated. The Styracosaurus, the pterodactyl. The elephant towards the end, I think, looks a little rough.
A little rough.
And it also doesn't help that instead of like real elephant sound, they just have like a guy yelling into a microphone for the elephant sound effects. It reminds me of like Godzuki on that Hanna-Barbera cartoon and the sound effects they did for that.
Godzuki.
But for the most part, I think all of the claymation is really good in this movie. And like I said, the movie looks good. There's a lot of like on location filming. Like they went into like the valleys of Spain and actually filmed a lot in these valleys and stuff. Filmed a lot on location. Found a cathedral for exterior shots in Spain. Now they employ the use of a fair amount of matte paintings.
Yeah.
Good matte paintings. I think that one matte painting of like the Forbidden Valley is actually really good.
It looks pretty good.
And then to pull off like interacting the human characters with the claymation figures, I think it's mostly pulled off by either, by rear projection. Either they're projecting the human characters on a screen behind the clay figures or vice versa, the clay figures on a screen behind the human characters. But I think for the most part, that stuff, it looks pretty good. Now, there are some shots where it doesn't look as good, but I think for the most part, particularly like that roping sequence, that's a very impressive sequence they pulled off there. I think the human clay figures, when Gwangi has them in his jaws or whatever, look good. I was impressed by, I thought the production values were pretty good. They may not have had the best budget or whatever, but I thought Harryhausen put in some real work on this movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty impressive.
At least he might have been the only one that was going for this movie.
Yeah, I think he was the only one putting in 100% effort. But
and he did a good job.
He's the most important element of the movie.
Yeah.
And but and then the score, I thought the score was pretty good.
Yeah.
It kind of caught that Western, monster movie vibe. I thought it's kind of a Western score, but I thought it worked pretty good.
Western versus dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's cowboys versus dinosaurs. It opened with cowboys versus Indians and ended as cowboys versus dinosaurs. But I think that's an interesting concept. But anyway, you ready for some final thoughts?
Sure.
Why don't you go for it?
Like we said, this movie's alright. It has a little bit of a struggle at some points. You're like, what's going on here? Where's the dinosaurs?
Yeah.
But most of it is you stay decently entertained through most of it.
Yeah.
And it's when the dinosaurs, like I said, come on screen, they never really leave it.
Yeah.
Not for like maybe a few seconds here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it all started with a miniature horse.
Yeah.
And then it gun to Gwangi.
Yeah. First you find a miniature horse, and the next thing there's a Tyrannosaurus chasing you down.
It happens. It's Allosaurus.
Allosaurus, whatever.
They use a lot of Allosauruses more than T-Rexes.
O'Brien was a fan of the Allosaurus.
But I think the acting's pretty good for the most part. The effects are pretty good. Soundtrack decent enough.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep you entertained throughout this whole movie and not get like extremely bored.
Yeah.
I'll give this movie a solid C.
Really? Look, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I thought, like I said, yes, it takes too long for Gwangi to show up. There's no doubt about that. But and for that first 50 minutes can be kind of drag. But I love the concept of the movie, cowboys versus dinosaurs. It's a Western meets Jurassic Park. I think that's a fun concept, and I think they execute it pretty well. Once the dinosaurs show up, like you said, they don't leave the screen very much once they show up. I think Harryhausen is really good here. This is some of his better work. I think the stop motion is very fluid, looks really good. I think the actors, we struggle a lot with cardboard characters and these type of things. I think that, the guy playing Tuck and the guy playing Bromley in particular are giving pretty charismatic performances. They're not just dead weight on the screen. Now, I think the actors playing Gila Golan, the Israeli actors playing TJ. Now, it's not as good for her. A lot of that is because they dubbed her over later, and you can tell.
Yeah.
But I think the acting for the most part is really good. And I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun when the dinosaurs are fighting, when the Gwangi breaks. Is it derivative? Yes, it's derivative. But when the Gwangi breaks free at the end and is rampaging through the city, and then they have the big beautiful cathedral and all of that. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I'm gonna give it like a B-. I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty good.
Wow.
And Schneer said it wasn't one of his least favorite collaborations with Harryhausen, but I think this is better than some of those Sinbad sequels we watched, for sure. I think it's probably better some of those earlier Harryhausen movies, like the one about the Beast from
20,000 Fathoms?
20,000 Fathoms or whatever. Probably better than that movie. No. The 20 Million Miles from Earth or whatever. I mean, it's at least on par, if not better than those movies, I would say. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I was entertained. I don't know. But I'm glad we watched it. I'm glad we checked it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if I can say that about for the rest of our movies coming up. Do you know what we got coming up pretty soon, Andrew?
Garbage.
Yeah, I don't really have any news except for the schedule. I mean, we're about what? We're about to the halfway point of Monster Legacy of Monsters or whatever, Monarch.
Garbage Day.
Garbage Day. But so that'll be coming up in a few weeks. But before that, next week, Happy Birthday King Kong. We'll be doing The Mighty Kong. Then we'll be doing a couple more dinosaur movies, 1 million BC.
He's just trying to kill me.
Yeah. 1 million BC, 1 million years BC. And then we'll be getting into some creature features, Grizzly 2, Razorback. And then everyone's doing their sales right now. Criterion had a 50% off sale. Arrow Video had a 50% off sale. Some of our local physical media stores are doing some spring sales.
That will probably... We'll
check out this weekend. But I did order the 4K special edition of Deep Blue Sea, since we'll be reviewing it this summer. So look forward to all of that. But anyway, Andrew, do we have anything else?
I think that's pretty much it for this week.
All right. Well, don't forget that you can always contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
You can find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right. And you can also find us on social media, on X, on Instagram, and on Facebook at Stomp This Way. And you can find all that information in the show notes below. And don't forget that we have another podcast going, Pulse Check, a horror movie podcast. And we just finished a fun little episode over Return to Oz for our unintentionally scary week.
God.
And in the month coming up, we'll be doing zombie movies, 28 years later, and some similar movies. So check all that out. But anyway, next week, The Mighty Kong. You can find it for free on Tubi. It is an animated musical, so just brace yourself if you haven't seen it before. It'll be a first-time viewing for us as well. But as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we'll see you next time.